It's Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limo or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you. Because that's New Orleans, and this is Happy Hour, a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common. Other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar, we are today at Wayfair on Ferret Street, which is a place where they put fine dining into a sandwich and fine booze into a glass. Have you guys have both been here before? There's Alan Wilshire is here with us today.
Yes.
And Ashley McLaren.
Hello.
Two guests whose name begin with the same letters.
Ooh.
Alan
Genius.
and Ashley. And Andrew
Yes.
Duhon,
Sorry,
whose name also begins with an A. It's very confusing. That's happened before, actually.
Has it?
I think last time we had people with names whose both names started with the same letter, remember?
No.
Triple A is better than double A.
Triple A, well, that's what it is. So
We can go by numbers
Alan
if you just
Wilshire,
want.
Ashley McLaren, and Andrew Duhon. We could not 1, 2, 3. That's a good idea. We could have numbers. That's a bit something, isn't it?
Something.
Anyway, Wayfair has got. They have a special 3-hour happy hour here every day from 4 to 7, where things are cheap. I know you guys haven't paid anything for these drinks, but what are you drinking?
why I'm
Actually,
here.
that looks good.
The
It's got
Wayfair margarita.
it's
and
got
it is
like grass
quite
in it or
tasty.
something.
It's very tasty.
What's the grass in there?
Oh gosh, I hadn't noticed. Now I'm wondering, is
Think
that
it's
supposed
supposed to be there?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, I think
that's
it is. But I think it's time. Actually.
Time.
But it's
Oh,
I've got
that's
time.
nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice. Alan, what are you drinking? Something to do with red breast whiskey.
Yeah, some Irish whiskey
Right.
on the rocks.
So, Alan, you know something about booze.
A little bit.
You're a professional
drinker.
drinker.
Yes. Yes. They
Di-
tend to make the best bartenders.
That's true. But you actually make drinks for a living.
Yes, actually, I do.
At
Or
the- at
at
something-
some point they let me these days.
At something called the AC Hotel on Bourbon Street, which
That's
I'd
right.
never heard of.
Yeah,
never
we're
heard
actually we're the first AC in the U.S. I believe 4 others are open now, but we were the first one. We've been open since December.
What does AC stand for?
AC actually stands for Antonio Catalan, who's a Spanish
Ah.
hotelier, designer. The brand is
Inventor of alternating current?
yes, yes, that's exactly
I
what.
thought so.
It's
Yeah.
multifaceted.
Yeah.
Antonio Catalan.
Yep.
I think I might write that down. It's another good. It's an A
Another
name.
A.
Yeah.
There you go.
Another
Part of the
Antonio.
family. Yeah.
He sounds like he might be Spanish.
Yeah, actually, the brand is from Barcelona,
Right.
They say
and
Catalan.
Catalan.
There you
Marriott brought them here to give themselves a little bit of a Spanish vibe, change things up a little bit.
I got a feeling you might speak Spanish, Ashley. Is that right?
I don't speak Spanish. Well, my mother's side of the family is Spanish, of various Spanish descents, but no, I don't. I mean, I'm not fluent anymore at all.
Anymore, so you used to
when
speak
I was
Spanish.
younger, yes, and when I go to Spain, you get fluent very easily when you go there and you're sort of immersed. But
Really?
Yeah,
I don't think I would. Do you, Andrew? You go to Spain. Actually, you're going next week, I think, aren't you?
No.
Where are you going to?
Going to the UK.
Ah, they don't speak any
the same
Spanish
thing.
there.
It's the same
No,
thing.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
close.
UK,
though.
Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
Europe.
I have
Well-
my Spanish friends tease me because they say, Ashley, she lives in the present because I can only speak in the present tense. There's no future. There's no past. I can't conjugate a verb.
That's
it's
like
just-
being in the moment.
Exactly.
But that's
I'm
only when
very-
you're in Spain. You can only be in the moment.
only when I'm thinking about being in Spain that I'm in the moment. Yeah.
So how could you speak Spanish in the first place?
My grandfather was fluent in Spanish, and so I sort of listened to him, but also was very interested. My mother did not speak a word of Spanish, which was
That was
awesome.
her dad.
Exactly. Yeah. It was her father.
So he
But
didn't make her speak when she was
Didn't make
a
her
kid.
speak, because he moved here, and wasn't his priority.
Where
It
did
wasn't.
where did he move from?
Actually, he moved from Mexico because I think they had come. His family had come from Spain, moved to Mexico, and then moved to New Iberia, Louisiana, which is how. There you go. How we ended up Iberia, Spain. That's
I
how
guess
it all sort of ended up.
you're
Yeah.
from New Iberia originally. You were
My
born
family,
there?
no, my family is all born in New Iberia. So my mom's side of the family, I look nothing like my. Incidentally, I look nothing like my family. I'm definitely the McLaren side, blonde hair, blue eyes. But if you see anyone else in my family, they are all olive skin, black hair, black eyes. Very
Except
dark.
for you.
Except for me and a few other cousins that have sort of gotten watered down over the years. So yeah.
What does your mom look like? Does she look like you?
No, I look. Actually, I mean, I guess. Sort
No
of,
one looks like you. Not your
No,
mother, not your father, not your grandparents.
no, I'm definitely like my father. The blonde hair, blue eyes, absolutely from my father. My mom was olive skin, dark hair, beauty. And when I've dyed my hair so many times because that whole family, you envy that and you want whatever you don't have.
Do you?
And so, yeah, apparently you do. That's what they tell me, I guess.
Really?
That's, yeah.
What do you have naturally when you don't?
This is it.
That's your natural hair
this
color.
Is it, yeah.
Boy,
So-
it's beautiful. It's blonde.
Oh, thank you.
Doesn't everybody want to be blonde?
Well, not when I was a kid. I did not want to be blonde, so
You
I've
wanted to
dyed
be
it
dark-haired
probably
like the
every
rest
color.
of the New Iberians.
Exactly.
Did you grow
Those
up?
Cajun queens.
Did you grow up in New Iberia?
No, I did not. I mean, I
Where'd you
spent
grow
every
up
summer
at?
there.
Shreveport.
I don't tell many.
that
I feel
sounds
like
a
now
lot
we're like
less
intimate.
sexy.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're very intimate because I don't
Yeah.
tell many people. I don't blast that around like Shreveport.
You keep that hidden.
Yeah, well, not
What
so
age-
hidden,
It's
but
a
it's not like
secret.
it's not the first
Okay.
10 things I tell someone. Usually.
It's not the first 10. Oh,
Yeah.
that's now we're onto something great.
Yep.
The first 10 things I tell
Jumped
someone.
right into it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Doing all right.
Alan, what
Oh,
are the
Lord,
first
I don't
10
even-
things you would tell someone?
First 10
The first 10 things. What's
I don't even think that far ahead. 10.
10?
First
Okay,
three.
3. What's the first 3 things you would think people want to know about you first?
Oh, well, I guess my name, Alan.
Okay, that's one,
I don't
Alan,
know.
all right.
That way they know what to call me. What I like to do, which is, experience good food and good drink. I love trying new spots in the city.
Is someone being murdered over here? Did you
Something
say,
was really funny over there.
that's the second thing is you like good food and you like good drink. What do I like to do? So what's my name? What I like to do, not what I do for a living, but what I like to
Yeah,
do.
what I like to do and what I do actually happens to be the same thing, which is, why
Lucky.
I like my job so much, because
You like to drink and eat.
I like to drink and eat, and I like to make other people drink and eat and have a good time.
Okay.
Yeah, spread the joy a little bit.
You're the beverage and food manager of the AC Hotel. I see it says here, not food and beverage, which it's normally called.
That's
Is that a
right.
typo?
We focus on the beverage at the AC.
I see you put it first on purpose.
Yep, the entire.
booze first.
Yeah, the entire philosophy is on
That's
the
sort of a New
cocktail
Orleans theme,
and
actually.
beverage side of things. Yeah.
That's more New Orleans than Barcelona, I would have thought.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way I look at it is, you're coming to New Orleans. There's so many awesome restaurants here. We're not really there to keep you in our hotel and serve you our food. We're there to tell you where to go eat.
Yeah.
However,
That's a good philosophy.
Yeah.
Mostly they want to trap you in there so you spend more money at the bar.
That's what I was gonna say, is it a
which is
good
why we're a
business
little bit
plan,
different. But
You like to kick people out of your hotel so they go spend money on Bourbon
are you
Street.
still here? Please, would you just go to Urbsane or wherever.
You don't want one of my stupid drinks. Go down Bourbon Street
No,
and
our
have a big
drinks
ass
actually
beer.
keep people at the bar, which is the interesting thing. Like, people come to the bar, like, we have a big pre-dinner rush, and then they almost always come back and tell us about we send them out to all these great different restaurants, and then they almost always come back around 10:30, 11, and tell us about their experience, and then they finish their night at the
Oh,
bar.
that's great.
Are you
Yeah.
there all night?
Pretty much, yeah.
What are your work hours?
I have a unique work hours. I was originally the lead bartender there.
Right.
And so part of my deal with taking over the management position was I still want to bartend. That's what my real passion is
You said, you know what? I'll manage the whole joint if I can still work a shift.
if I could still bartend every once in a while. So I have,
That's very unusual, isn't it?
well, I mean, you have to do what you like. And
You like being a bartender better than being
Oh,
an
yes.
administrator.
You get to be creative.
All right.
absolutely. And so I still get to hop behind the stick every once in a while. And
The stick, is
Hop
that what they
behind
call
the
it?
sticks.
yeah, that's industry talk for,
The stick.
hopping behind the old bar and
Okay.
whipping out drinks
I never
all
knew
night.
that. Did you know that, Andrew?
Didn't know that.
Actually, you ever heard
What-
that?
I'd never heard
The
that.
stick.
I like it though. I might use it for other things too.
Is the
like hop
stick the
behind
bar or
stick.
the swizzle stick, or what's
I
the
believe
stick?
the stick is probably, I don't even know what it's based on, but
Oh.
maybe the muddler, could
Yeah,
be
okay.
the tap, all kinds of things that you grip like a stick.
Gotcha.
straw?
Things you grip like a
Behind the
stick.
stick.
That's another
Another theme
subject
for
I have
later.
to write down.
First
Yeah.
3 things.
So
and
the first thing people I want to know about you is your name. The second thing is what you like to do, which is the same as what you do for a living, which is good. What would the third thing people would like to know about you?
Let's see, I guess maybe where I'm headed. I don't know,
Hey,
which I don't know the answer to that question. So
I don't know where I'm headed. I'm
These are
writing that
good
down.
answers, though. Yeah, And if you've only got 3, this is pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Where are you? So you don't know where you're headed. You have no clue about the future.
I just kind of take it one day at a time.
Why do you think anybody would want to know that, where you're headed?
I mean, that's what I'm interested in. So when
Well,
someone,
that's a question you like to ask other people.
Right,
maybe they
so-
wanna
Okay.
go.
one of my favorite parts about bartending is that everyone has a story.
Yeah.
And they come to your bar, especially at a hotel bar, and especially a European one. They're from all over the world, and every single one of them has something to, they have a story to tell. They have a past. They have some reason they're in New Orleans, and that's a really great part about bartending in the city is you meet people from everywhere, and everyone
That's
is
the
so
whole.
diverse.
That's the whole concept behind happy hour.
That's right.
That's
Happy
amazing
hour.
who's here, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's incredible
I mean,
who's in
it's-
New Orleans.
At least once a week, I meet someone who I'm just like, wow, I'm glad I met that guy.
Yeah. Do you keep in touch with people?
Oh yes, absolutely. So Jurassic World just came out.
Okay.
And,
I wasn't expecting that segue.
At a previous
That is true.
at a previous job, I was at the Renaissance Père Marquette, and I had the crew for that movie, which was shot here in my hotel for 4 months, and we got pretty close. And a couple of them surprised me on New Year's Eve and flew into New Orleans and spent their whole New Year's Eve at the bar with me.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's
I mean,
nice.
you
So
make
people make
some
actual
great-
friends.
Yeah, some actual good friends.
Were they in Jurassic World?
One of them is the guy who actually designs all of the dinosaurs. He's the main CGI guy for Jurassic Park. And then his girlfriend is she was the travel coordinator on that movie.
Wow, I didn't even know that was made here. Where'd they shoot that? With the dinosaur world and all that?
Well, they shot it in Hawaii, and then they shot it here at the airport at Six. Remember the Six
old
Flags?
Six
Have you
Flags,
seen
right.
it yet?
At Six Flags. No, I haven't
That was
seen it.
Six
Have you
Flags.
seen it?
Oh yeah, I saw it.
What'd you think?
It was good. I mean, I think it was the best one since the second one. The first and
Did you
second
see
were
that?
How
pretty
many are
good.
there? How many are
It's
there?
like number 5, I think.
I think
okay.
this is the fourth or fifth one.
I don't know. I clearly have
It's
not
well,
seen it.
they're all exactly
it's
the
funny
fucking
because-
same. It's, you know,
Exactly. Like how-
dinosaurs
how
running
many
after
do- yeah,
people. It's like
scary
Rambo,
dinosaurs.
meets
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
This
Yeah.
one, they actually, Chris
oh.
Pratt was not a famous actor yet. And they were like, oh, yeah, we've got this big A-list celeb. And I was like, I've never heard of him because Guardians of the Galaxy hadn't come out yet. But, yeah, I met all these guys. And then this was almost 2 years ago now. And now the movie's out. So I'm like, oh, yeah, everybody knows who he is now.
Well, these people must do a lot of drinking if you got to know them that well.
Oh, yeah, they would come straight to the bar after
A long day.
wrap
That's
every
a long
day.
day with the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So you have a kid, right, Ashley? So you must go to see these. Or is
I do
your
have a kid.
child-
He's a little young for the
Too young
Jurassic.
for
So
the-
yeah, there's a movie coming out this weekend actually that we'll go see, but it's not. But yeah, it's not. He's a little. He would probably love it, but it would probably give him nightmares.
Yeah,
So he would love
would
it
be too
in the
scary.
moment, but then later I'd have to pay for it. So no, we're not going there.
How old is he?
4. He'll be 5 in October.
Oh, my goodness. And you
So-
just moved here with him.
Well, I moved here 2011. So it was. I lived exactly 10 years, almost to the week of in New York, and then I moved down here.
So you
so-
got out of Shreveport pretty quick.
Graduated from. I actually went to undergrad in Shreveport, and then went to UT, and then ended up in New York, and then back down. So I left in '95. I left Shreveport in '95, and then I was like, I'm never going back to Louisiana ever. Oh, except New Orleans. So-
Well, that's not quite like the rest of Louisiana here.
No, it's not.
Well,
And when I thought about moving back closer to home, it was either going to go back to Austin or here, and I thought that the only place I would ever live in Louisiana would be New Orleans. So, yeah, absolutely. Shreveport's not on the list.
I
not
did
even
this
the short,
great-
not,
I did
not
this-
even a long list.
I did this great thing, and I don't even know where it is, unfortunately. Where did I put it? It was, I looked you up on Twitter. Here it is, your Twitter
good
profile.
Lord. Oh, that picture is.
Oh, the picture's from
It's,
LinkedIn.
like, so perfect.
So I just Googled your name before the show, and this
Oh,
is what
that's
came
scary.
up.
Google.
I got the LinkedIn bullshit. You know.
Okay, yeah,
But the
I'm
Twitter,
so
your Twitter
professional and awesome.
profile is awesome. Listen to this.
I
All
didn't know
these-
I had a Twitter profile.
You wrote it.
I must have.
All
Well, I must have
these-
done it
well,
a long time
someone
ago.
wrote it for you.
Well,
I
I
don't
think
know.
maybe had this idea a long time ago about being on Twitter, and then I never really
Yeah.
did it. So I.
What is the tattoo on
Oh,
your wrist?
This is actually my son's birthday, so it's 10/12/10.
10, 12, 10.
Yeah.
And Roman numerals.
Yes.
I thought it might have been the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I
That's
love
only
the
Roman
Saints.
numerals.
Saints fan.
Only time I've ever seen the Roman numerals anywhere is
Yeah,
the
no.
40 something, whatever the hell
Yeah,
that was.
whatever
What was
that
it?
was.
Super
Oh,
Bowl.
God,
What
I
was the
don't
number?
know.
43 or something.
45,
40
46. I feel like we've had 40.
I don't
idea.
know.
We haven't
did
had.
not.
I don't think
The
we've
last
had
one
50.
was 49, right?
Was it? Okay,
Was
I
it?
was gonna say, I
One
don't
that
feel like
just
we've had
passed.
it.
So the next one's going to be 50 or so.
It's gonna be a
so
big one.
what made you get that tattooed on your wrist in case you forget his birthday?
Yeah, that's what my sister's. Yeah, my sister's very conservative, and she's like, "Oh, so you're gonna forget his birthday?" I just sort of was wanting another tattoo. Probably is the real reason, and then I thought, well, it needs to be meaningful, and so that's actually I have.
That looks like it might have hurt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, none of them feel. Don't. If anyone ever
How
was
many-
like, "No, it doesn't hurt," there's sticky
Have you got-
needles in your arm.
Have you got other ones?
I have one on my ankle.
What's
and,
that say?
It's just a design. I mean, I was 20 when I got it, so it was some design I drew because I thought I was an art student and needed to have like a fancy art tattoo. So
Well, you were an art student.
I was an art student. Yeah.
So you didn't just think you were an art student.
Well, I was an art. No, I was actually an
At
art
least
student.
you
But I
knew that
thought.
much.
Well, I
Okay,
thought
alright.
I was an art student who therefore needed to have a fancy
Should have
tattoo.
a fancy
Yeah.
tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
What
I'm
is it? What's the design of?
It's just the.
have a look.
It's okay. Hold on.
You just stand
I'm
up.
gonna have to break the rule and back up from the microphone.
That's okay.
So-
Let's take a look at it. Oh,
Oh, nice.
that is pretty nice. It's sort of like
It almost looks like a set of dolphins.
Well, it's sort. It's
It's
just
like something off a building
It's like
almost.
filigree. I just
For
sort
the
of
folks
kept
at home,
drawing.
there's a fancy art tattoo on her ankle.
It's an official fancy art tattoo. If you go to the dictionary, fancy art tattoo. It was.
that's
you
the
know,
only two you've got though.
Those are the
See,
only two.
this
I
one
have.
interesting. It's got X something or other. What does it
See,
say?
I've also changed my tastes over the years. I
Oh,
went
that's
from
the
I went
problem
from
with tattoos,
well,
right?
I went from being an art student to an architect, and so it became very like minimal and fonts.
Right.
I was obsessed with fonts for
Were
years.
you?
Actually, I sort of still am obsessed with fonts. But Helvetica, very good documentary. So the sad thing about this though is that the tattoo artist was not great. In fact, not very good at all. So
Really?
I'm sort of disappointed in the way it turned out, but. it's simple
how
enough
would
to
you have
where.
made X dot X?
Well, because you can see you
different?
can see the imperfections, and it's right in my face all the time.
Oh, I suppose if you're really
and especially if it's like this is my
obsessive about
favorite day.
fonts.
Exactly.
Oh, you're
So-
staring at this fucked up font for the whole.
for the rest of my life.
Oh, that is just horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Let's take a look at it. What is
Okay.
actually wrong with that font?
Okay,
to
so
me,
you
it
can
looks
see,
totally fine.
Well, okay, so that X is all jacked up, but then there's also this is supposed to be a solid line, but you can see where the absence.
Well, I could fill that
Yeah.
in for you with my
Yeah,
pen
there
right
you
now.
go. Every day I should just wake up and fill
Why
it.
don't you just
It's
go back
not
to
as-
somebody
it's
and
not
get
as
it
clean.
fixed?
Well, I've gone back and they, the fixing probably would. First of all, I'm not going to go back to the same person. So I went to
Right.
a different person who then suggested that, if the only way to fix it is to really sort of disguise it and add much more to it.
Oh,
But because of the
no.
business I'm in, I can barely have this tattoo, much less.
Yeah.
I
Because
would.
you work in the construction business.
Yeah, and
You're
sort
a
of-
project manager.
I'm a
for
project
real-
manager for a
I know all
construction
about
firm.
you.
Yeah,
It's all
apparently
here.
so. I
He's got
want to
your-
know
I
what
thought it
wrote.
was interesting that the name of the construction company is Veneer.
Well, it's Vanner.
It's pronounced Vanner.
It's pronounced Vanner because it's after these. It's after these like Nordic, these
Oh.
gods that are commerce,
Vikings.
god of commerce, Vikings, exactly, god of commerce. Look at
Do
you.
you know something about that, Mr. Wilshire?
I watched the show Vikings.
There-
So
There's a show called
now
Vikings.
I'm an expert.
How
right?
do
There
you
you
have
go.
time to watch a show if you're up to all hours of the night making
I
drinks?
actually have
Well,
a pretty
actually-
set sleeping regime where I sleep from 5 a.m. to noon every day.
Okay.
So I mean, from the time the bar closes to 5, I get a little bit of time in there to
Okay.
catch up on my Vikings.
What time does the bar close?
Our bar closes at 12, and then other bars close later.
so you can go out for drinks after.
Yes. I
Basically.
So
normally-
you
is what
finish
you're
work at
saying.
midnight,
That's
and then
right.
you got 5 hours of.
I like to go out and spend time with other guys in the same industry. We have pretty unique personalities, and tend to hear a lot of great stories. And
Jesus Christ! You spend all night listening to people telling you stories, and then you want to go out and hear more stories.
Or you want to tell
Well,
your
guys, you
story.
already know.
I guess I like stories. I don't know.
You do.
You should be a
Yeah.
writer.
Yeah.
Actually, I do hope to be a writer one day.
There
What are
you
you
go.
waiting for?
Yeah.
I write.
it down.
I write now.
All right.
I just
You do?
I'm not seriously pursuing it.
What kind of stuff do you write?
I write anything. One of my buddies that I grew up with went to University of Virginia for writing, and now he's a writer, a real one, in New York City.
What does he write?
He writes all kinds of little mini novels, short stories,
Cool.
little excerpts for anyone who will publish him. So I wrote him one time 10 years after we'd hung out, and I just said, man, I write all the time, but I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, what do I do? And he was just like, carry a pencil on you and, just keep a notepad by your bed when you wake up from dreams, scribble it down.
Journal.
Yeah, and so I'm not like trying to organize anything I've ever written, but
Yeah.
it's
Are you going to come up with like a thing that joins it all together, that makes like a novel?
I
say?
feel like one day if I have the time, I'll just like go somewhere for a couple months and just organize it all, and maybe there's a story in there somewhere.
What do you write it on?
All kinds of stuff. I actually prefer doing it by hand.
So you have yellow pads or notebooks? or
Yeah, I
something?
do keep notes. I just got this phone, but my old phone, which I
There's
cracked
a huge phone. this
and
thing.
lost,
It is
I had
giant.
tons of notes on there. But
You lost the notes that were on your phone?
yes, unfortunately.
Oh,
Oh,
that's a
that's terrible.
fatal
Which is why-
mistake to not make again.
And I actually feel like you're holding a pen right now.
Yes, I
As you
always
write
hold-
by hand, I just feel like because it's so much slower, it gives your mind time to like catch up with your next thought.
I have the problem though that if I write by hand, I can't read it. I'm
I
not
do
even
that.
kidding.
And
That's
I do write in
true.
cursive. I do write in cursive as well, which I just found out they don't teach in school anymore. But it's so much faster.
They don't teach cursive in
They
school?
don't teach handwriting at all anymore.
Yeah,
they
they
teach
stopped.
keyboarding.
Are you serious?
Yes.
They don't teach handwriting in
They
school?
don't teach handwriting in school.
Well, that cuts out a whole class. Is there
No,
is
because it's
there-
keyboarding now. It's not cutting out of class. It's a different.
You still have to learn to write, but you write on a keyboard.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's,
Right.
I guess, sensible.
It's,
but
I
is
guess
that-
it's type. Like
is
in
that
high
really
school,
true,
I took
though?
typewriting. I don't know.
Did you take typewriting?
Well,
in
I took.
school?
I guess no, it was middle school. I took typewriting classes.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You did?
But it was.
I'm setting my
it was an
age right there.
elective. Like I chose
Right.
to take that class.
Well, it's sensible. It's a
Now-
good idea
now
to
it is,
learn how
yeah.
to type.
Who-
Can you
who
type
knew?
without looking?
For the most
Can you
part.
still do it?
Yeah.
Alan, can
your,
you do
your
it?
home base. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
Andrew, can you type without looking?
Yep.
Shit. you
Especially with spell check. I can type. I could probably not even touch.
And now it highlights it. Yeah, you make a mistake, it highlights it right
or
away.
it fixes it automatically. Maybe
Right
not
click,
exactly
fix
how you meant it, but
automatically, yeah.
sometimes that's actually better. It's better, right? It's poetry. It's like
I don't
fills
like
in
the
words
thing
you
telling me that I fucked
Yeah.
up. I turn that off, that thing. Do
Yeah,
you
I like
have
to
the-
coin my own words, in it,
Yeah.
and it doesn't get it.
I
you know?
hate that when it comes up with a squiggly red line underneath every
It's like
second word
auto
I write.
text. I hate auto text.
A lot of text is terrible.
That's annoying too.
Yeah. So
So,
Jesus.
I'm
so
a
you
handwriter.
So you're a writer as well?
No,
You're a handwriter.
I'm trained as an architect, so you have that whole the font obsession.
that-
So you like
that
That was
tactile.
actually what I went to undergrad for originally.
Oh,
was
really?
to be an architect. Then I realized I'm just.
you realize you can't. You
You
have
realize
to sleep
what?
sometime.
What did you realize?
I wasn't really interested in it.
Then I
Well,
Well, that's a
realized-
good thing to figure out
Constructing
early
My
on.
grandfather was an architect, and I
Oh.
always wanted to like follow in his footsteps. But after one semester, I was like,
Yeah.
not really feeling this anymore.
It's
I'd
a
been
lot
doing
of
it.
work.
Yeah, I'd been
What
doing
do you,
it for a long time.
What do you do first at architecture school?
In
You don't
architecture
start off
school?
drawing. Do you have to do math or engineering?
No,
or
you
something?
start. I mean, it's insane. I only did it as grad school. I did not do it as undergrad. So, but that's even worse because
Oh.
you're this 18-year-old who has to have or 17, however old you are when you start college, and you have to have this amazing drive because you basically turn your life off for an undergrad 5 years and for grad 2 to 3, and that's all you do. I lost friends. I lost relationship where you try to explain to people, no, I really am still working. They're like, no, you're not. You're just ignoring me. No, I'm really in the studio. I promise that's what I'm doing because you.
What
just,
does a studio look like?
a studio is a lot of really tired, potentially smelly, smoke-ridden people.
But what does the place look like? It's got high tables, like drafting
it's high
table.
drafting table. Well, this
plotters
is. It
and-
depends on what school you go to, because a lot of people are very, or a lot of schools are very computer-oriented. The school I went to was not. It was sort of, they didn't want you to get into computers till later. They wanted to understand the sort of tactile quality of architecture first. So it's got, by the end of the semester, it's just a bunch of, there's even like sleeping quarters, people sort of make
No.
little cots.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. And then there's paper and material and glue and just shit everywhere. And then like a model that you might have used, but you also sort of cannibalized for some new model. It's just,
Oh, you have to know how to make models.
Oh yeah, lots
Oh, yeah.
of and lots of blood because there's a lot of X-Acto knife cuts. Especially you're doing this at 4 a.m, and if there's not an emergency room visit, then you didn't do it right. I mean, it's pretty.
Wow, I didn't know that was what's going on in architecture school.
Oh yeah, it's and
glad
I
I
think
got
that
out of it
but I also
when
think
I
there's
did.
some people who think it's supposed to be more brutal than it probably has to be. So there's something like they feel like
It's
you
like
don't-
medical
you don't-
school.
Yeah, you don't have street cred unless you form some addiction during graduate
Wow.
school. So it's
What were you addicted to?
what was I addicted to? I don't know. Because I was definitely a smoker. I quit smoking when I
A lot of
stopped
these
grad school,
people
but-
in
but in terms
architecture
of like
school are they doing like
there were a lot of
drug-
people who
like
did a
coke
lot
or
of
something?
drugs, a lot of
Lots of
coke.
glue.
Yeah, it's a
just
lot
like
of coke.
stuff to
Sniffing
keep
glue.
you up?
Yeah, it's stuff to keep you up. So there's definitely, or then you sort of round out when your review is over, and then you binge drink and smoke a lot of pot. So it's
Well, in college in general these days,
Well, that's true.
everyone is on what is it, Adderall?
Yeah.
Adderall is like the wonder drug.
I've
that-
seen someone snort Adderall off a drafting table.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
I
think
have
it's got
friends
some
who cannot
sodium in it.
function
Yeah.
without it.
It's not.
Burn.
And
Feel
what's
the
funny
burn.
is it's illegal. That drug doesn't exist in South and Central America. Like, you can't get it down there. I have a buddy that lives down there who flies home every few months to get his Adderall filled because
It's sort of the opposite of what
they
other
don't
people do
recognize
here.
it. And
They-
they're like, no, just suck it up and
Yeah.
do your work.
yeah,
But Adderall's the anti-ADD drug.
right.
Right. But people,
But they don't have ADD south of the border.
They
They-
don't
it's-
acknowledge ADD as
they don't
like a
acknowledge
real.
it, yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Is it in the DSM-5, whatever that?
Now it
The
is
United
in America.
Nations
In
book of-
America, it is.
in America,
We
but
have
I
our
would say
own
America.
mental-
In the United States, it is. I'm not going to say
I
America.
thought that was an international thing, the DSM. I thought it was like an international
It is, but it varies.
directory of mental illness.
I think it varies from country to country.
So we have our own mental illness in the United States.
I
They
believe-
don't
I
have
think
south of the
I
ADD
border.
just got back from Peru, and I can tell you they don't know what ADD is.
What are the, well, they don't have the same
They're
alphabet.
what
Maybe
we
they
were
call
in
it
the
something
80s.
else.
It's
You mean they don't know what a good
BCF.
high is what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now, how did you find that out in Peru?
yeah.
And
I,
what
That's a good.
conversation-
That's a good question.
how did I find that out?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be talking to
I
people
went,
about
I went to
ADD.
visit my friend who lives there, and he's one of those people that
He's
needs
American.
Adderall all the time to focus and work.
Did he ask you to bring some down?
He did, actually. And I said, no, I'm not comfortable doing that, mainly because I wouldn't know how to get
I was
it.
gonna say, how would you get a prescription? Well, I mean, I
And,
guess there are ways.
like,
It's
if
silly
they
me.
pull
You
this
go to
bottle
the
of Adderall
Canadian drugstore or
You
online
just,
like
I was gonna
everybody
say,
else
he
does.
should
huh?
just be able to go online and get
Yeah.
that,
Yeah,
right?
the Silk Road, right?
Yeah, well, I think that guy's in jail. You can't get it from him.
Yeah, he's
So
done.
it says here on this thing that they gave me about you too. It says that you're VP of Operations at Tiger Latin American Trade Source.
Yes, yes.
So
that's
not
right.
only are you a bartender and an ex-architect and other interesting stuff which we haven't gotten through here, but you're actually the Vice President of Operations. And I looked this up on Facebook just this afternoon, so I know this is true. Tiger Latin American Trade Source Inc. has got 12,000 likes on their Facebook page.
That is the company that the guy was flying. Him and I are partners. We've been building that for about 9 months.
You've had this for 9 months and you've got 12,000 people like. We've been doing this show for about 3 years. With about 5 people liked us on Facebook.
Well, we're in
How
about
did you do that?
50 countries, I think. We sell.
Well,
we
we're
have
all over the
accounts.
world.
Yeah.
We're on the World Wide Web.
I'm
And don't have that many. How do you? What is this Tiger Latin American Trade Source Inc.?
This is so. I used to be an operations manager for a company that did merchandise liquidation all over Central and South America. This is pretty boring, but they went out of business.
Not yet. It's not merchandise liquidation. That sounds good, right there.
So
Big
a
words.
product in America becomes stagnant or whatever, stops selling. They've got a warehouse full of it. Warehouse space is expensive. They need to get rid of it. We liquidate it in Central and South America.
Liquidate means sell it, right?
Sell at a loss almost because
Wow.
these products are still on shelves in Walmart, so they can't disrupt that market.
Right.
So if Walmart finds out that they're selling it to people for less than they're selling it to them, they get in trouble. So they
Ah.
sell it
makes
to
sense.
us. We then take it out of the country.
And what sort of stuff are we talking about?
Mainly textiles and as seen on TV goods. So you know the commercials, the late night commercials.
What's
Oh,
a
yeah.
textile exactly? It's a shirt.
Textiles are like, blankets,
Okay.
comforters,
Fabrics.
pillowcases.
So not yet a
fabrics.
shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
Okay, so it's blankets and sheets.
That you're
Blankets
buying
and
for
sheets.
pennies on the dollar and selling to lesser countries.
What kind of a sheet doesn't sell at Walmart?
No, it sells. It's just they want to bring in their new pattern
Uh,
or their new, design for the next quarter.
Okay, so I make sheets, and Walmart buys 20,000 of my sheets, and then comes around to the next season, whatever the sheet season is, and they've still got a whole bunch of it left on the shelf. They've already bought it, or is it on consignment?
Well, Walmart actually is large enough that they have a deal, and this is like getting pretty interesting. They have a deal with the manufacturers where whatever they don't sell, the manufacturer has to take back.
Okay.
They're that large that they can make deals like that. So when the manufacturer has to take it back, now the manufacturer's stuck with it.
He calls you and says, hey, listen.
And I sell it to Walmart Mexico, which
Yeah.
is funny because that's actually a separate company. So you would think Walmart would just send it to their Mexican Walmart, but instead they send it back to the manufacturer, sends it to me, and I sell it to Walmart Mexico.
So everyone's making money every time it moves, except for the poor guy who made these sheets.
Yeah,
We thought he had a huge sale to Walmart in Gretna.
for the most part.
Now he's fucked up, and
Maybe
they
they had a big contract bonus when they
It's
decided
funny,
to
though.
manufacture it.
It's
So,
funny though. There's guys who I've met who literally started 20 years ago in China with like a shack and a couple machines, and now they own a building in like Macau. Like these China is like booming. All this stuff is
Really?
coming from
Not
China.
joking.
All of it.
All the stuff is coming from China. All the stuff
the
that's
manufacturing.
on the shelves at Walmart that they can't sell.
Yes.
yeah.
Then it goes back to China.
No, it actually stays in the U.S. for the most part because shipping is also expensive.
Right.
So, and then I'll ship it from L.A.
This all sounds so simple, doesn't it? How does it actually work? You're working in a bar, and you're up till 5 o'clock in the morning doing stuff, hanging out with your friends, writing a novel. How do you find time to be shipping shit out of Walmart down to Mexico?
I do the operations, so the sales is really the legwork, and that's where my partner and our sales team, which are based out of Peru and Panama, they take care of that. They send me
Why
a
do you
sale.
how did you get into this?
I actually got really lucky. I had gotten out of the military and I accepted a job as an engineer at California Steel, which I got out there and the offer was completely different than what they gave me on paper. So I told them to pack sand, and I was living in San Francisco, bartending, and putting my resume out there, and this really short email that just said, "Hey, I have a job for you in Costa Rica. It's a
Like,
legitimate
yes.
job. I need
It's
an
a
office
legitimate job.
manager."
Signed.
Signed some. It just seemed so sketch, like a scam. So I was like, whatever. Resume. I want to hear more. That's all I wrote. A week later, she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna only be in town for 3 days, so meet me at Starbucks." Again, so sketch.
This is a woman.
This is a woman, yeah.
From where?
She's also from San Francisco, but she was living in Costa Rica. So I met with her at Starbucks. The next day, I met the owner of the company, and 10 days later, I was in Costa Rica for 2 years.
Nice. There are worse places.
How do you get to be that lucky?
And then the company went under, so I started my own.
Oh, that's an interesting twist.
Yeah.
The company went under, so what did they do wrong that you figured out to do right now?
What they did wrong was the owners were salespeople. So they had no idea how to manage money or run a company.
And how did you know how to do that?
I have no idea. For me, it's just common sense. But for them, I mean, they're very great salespeople, and they made a lot of money in 2 years. That's how long they were around. tons of money, and I think they almost felt like, you know, no matter how much they spent, they would make it back in sales, which wasn't the case because, you know, people come collecting eventually. So they
Okay.
went under.
So they were thinking short term.
And in my year and a half I was there, I had hired a guy, one of my best friends who's now my partner, to break into Latin American sales. When they hired me, they were only in the U.S.
Do you speak Spanish?
Like a 6-year-old. I'm actually working on
Me
it.
gusta.
I'm trying.
Okay.
Yeah, I can understand it really well. Like you said, I really relate to what you said. You only speak in the present tense.
Right.
I cannot get the tenses.
Yeah. Or you,
You
sort
know.
of you go back and forth. Like I am doing this right now. You know, sort
And I
of-
memorize phrases.
Yeah.
I have 50,000 sheets. Can you say that?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't have to say that.
Textile. Yeah, exactly.
So what you're the operations guy, which means you have to figure out how the sheets get from
I do the
Walmart and
logistics.
Gretna down to
Yeah, I do
somewhere in
logistics
Peru.
and accounting, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when do you do this?
Whenever an order comes in,
So someone else is getting the orders somehow or other, magically.
my sales team creates an order. They send it to me. I then coordinate the shipping and everything.
Are you
which
making enough money out of this that you could quit being a bartender on Canal Street?
Hopefully one day. I mean, right now all the money is staying in the company and we're expanding.
Wait, but I thought you'd love to do that. When you say hopefully one day, does that mean you really want to get out of bartending?
I will always bartend.
Okay, that's my. Yeah.
I could be a millionaire off this business and I'll still bartend. That's actually my hobby,
Really?
which is what I was.
We should write that down and talk to you, which you wouldn't be too long till you are a millionaire, I wouldn't think.
Let's hope so.
I would say it's got to be pretty close, don't you, Andrew, if you think about this?
It's close.
I mean,
Right
all the
around the
people
corner.
we know, think of all the people we've talked to and we've interviewed on the show. Have you ever heard a story like this before? Some random guy gets
No.
an email from some random other
It's
woman
hard.
and she
What?
says,
It's
go
hard
to...
to break into those sales, though. That's the thing. We've
Yeah.
made a lot of progress in the last 3 months, but the first 6 months, I mean, we incorporated in Panama. That was a pain because I don't want to pay taxes here. Avoidance.
You've even figured out how to not pay taxes.
So it's.
I need to
the
give you
first
$1,000.
The first 6 months was just basically us creating something out of nothing. We had the accounts, but we didn't have anything to sell them.
So you took the accounts over from the other people who failed.
Well, those accounts were
They were just sitting
my
there.
They were-
partners.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a good
It's a
start.
relationships game that you had a leg up on when you started, and now it's just building those and more relationships. Yeah.
Exactly. We're trying to expand on that. He's a great salesman, very personable. He actually did
What's this
go to
guy's name?
college in
What-
Spanish.
He
And
did, so he speak-
He majored in Spanish and business in Buenos Aires.
Oh, that's good. Okay, what's his name, this guy?
His name's Graham Young,
Graham
Another
Young.
gram.
and he's
Okay.
great,
Graham MP3.
great friend, childhood friend, and
Where are you from originally?
Virginia.
From Virginia.
Yeah.
So you grew up with him in Virginia.
Yep. Yeah.
Man, that's unusual in itself. Wow, what a great... And we haven't even got to the rest of this. I got more facts about you that are equally fascinating. I didn't even know any of this stuff before from my 5 minutes. It's amazing what you can find in 5 minutes, by the way, on the internet if you've got nothing better to do.
That's actually sort of scary.
It's quite amazing. And we're going to get on to the next thing we're going to do is your Twitter profile,
Oh,
actually.
good Lord.
And that's
Oh,
not
right.
even all...
That
I did
someone
all
made.
this.
Well, it's
I
so
found out
frightening.
all this in 5 minutes
No, but it's so
today.
frightening because I think I set up Twitter like 8 years ago.
Well, then you're
So
going to
it's
get... I'm not going to
scary.
show you right now.
Okay.
First of all,
Activate
Andrew's
it.
going to play us a song.
Okay.
And then we're going to come... Then I have to do these announcements. And then I'm going to come back and talk about your Twitter profile.
Oh, great.
Okay. So now, Andrew, you've been gone for ages and you're going to be gone again for ages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where are you going to be next?
I missed you, Grant.
No, I know. It's been horrible. I've had to hold the fort by
UK.
myself.
You're going to England, right?
Yeah, going to England.
Make sure you
Going
go to
to-
Wiltshire.
Yeah, maybe I will. I don't
That's
know where that one
That's
is.
where Stonehenge is.
Oh, is it really? Yeah,
Stonehenge.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's up
That's
north. I don't know if I'll make it that far north.
So tell us, give us a vague idea. People who might be listening to this in the UK, where are you going to be, sort of?
I mean, every year I just fly to London and the gigs get booked. Well, I book the gigs, but it's just trains. I'm not going too far north this time. There's a lot of good things in the Midlands,
Yeah.
but a lot of good things on the South Shore.
Portsmouth.
But,
You've been to Portsmouth?
doing Portsmouth. Portsmouth's
Been-
one of my favorite shows. Yeah.
Well, actually, Wiltshire and Stonehenge is in the southwest.
Really?
Yeah, so right northwest of Portsmouth, on your way to London.
kidding.
You can just.
I'm way off then. I for some reason I had in my head that I was in Edinburgh and saw shuttles to. I must have been wrong about that, but it's not far from Portsmouth. You're saying?
Portsmouth is. I love that town.
I
Have
do
you
too.
played there?
Yeah.
Love that town.
Okay.
Wait, so Stonehenge isn't far from Portsmouth? That's what you're telling
Well,
me?
it's in between to the. So here's Portsmouth. Here's London, which
Yeah.
is up there to
Yeah.
the
Is up
west,
there.
almost west, right in the middle is Wilshire and Stonehenge.
Oh, that's kind of my hood. I didn't realize that.
You're right there.
You've never been to Stonehenge? You can
no.
go now.
No, I haven't.
You've got to send
Yeah.
us a photo from Stonehenge.
That would be cool.
Are we doing Stonehenge tonight? Hey, why don't I do these sponsor messages first?
Great.
Okay,
Sounds
good
great.
idea. Let's just mention these very kind people who make our show possible today. Today's show is brought to us by Petite Pet Care. If you're going out of town or you have a crazy schedule, like some people, you don't have a pet, do you, for sure, Alan, do you?
She passed away over Christmas.
Ah.
It's really
What
sad.
sort of pet was it?
She was a little 5-pound Maltese.
Ah, they lived for a long time, too.
She was.
How old was she?
She was 8.5.
That's very young for a Maltese. What got her?
We actually, it's like I said, it's a sad story. We went to a wedding and we came home and she was in her little house. Like it was sudden,
Oh.
and it was my girlfriend's dog.
Oh, she must have had a heart attack or something.
And yeah, I mean, it's 8.5 years. She had her since she was born,
Oh,
and
my God.
It
Well,
was-
those dogs live a long time, typically much longer than 8.5 years.
it was very. I don't know if it was spider bite or.
Ah, you didn't ask to take her to the vet and get a post-mortem or whatever they
She
call
didn't.
it?
She wasn't comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
She was really, really upset.
That is upsetting. Are you still together?
Oh yes,
What was the dog's name?
her name is Lily.
Lily,
Yeah,
the Maltese. That is a very sad story.
yeah. So now we are petless for now.
Are you looking for one?
I just got a fish tank last week, so
I wouldn't put a dog in a fish tank. That would totally kill it. Well, the secret of that, moral of the story, of course, is don't go to a wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clearly, no one should
true.
ever get married.
Exactly. Here we go. Our show today is brought to us by Petite Pet Care. If you're going out of town or you have a crazy schedule and a dog that's alive, the folks at Petite Pet Care will take care of your pet in his or her own home. For loving care when you're not there, go to petitepetcare.com. Thank you to Basics Swim and Gym, a full range of fashion swimsuits, workout and yoga clothes with style. The all-new Basics Swim and Gym is on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue. Thanks to Hangover Destroyer, the only all-natural product medically proven to prevent a hangover. You guys want another drink? We can hook you up.
I was gonna.
Yeah, flag them down. Go to Hangover
Bartender
Destroyer.
code.
Perfect timing as well, because I'm just talking about Hangover Destroyer.
There you
If you
go.
go to the Hangover Destroyer website, it's called hdestroyer.com, and you write happy hour in the coupon code, you'll get 30% off of Hangover Destroyer, and you too can seize the dawn. Thank you too to unlistednola.com. The revolutionary new way to buy a house in New Orleans. If you know what you're looking for, you can find your perfect match before it comes on the market. It's the match.com of real estate. It's called unlistednola.com. Thank you very much. Music by Andrew Duhon.
Yay.
Oh, thanks, y'all.
Very nice. Okay, back to our regular programming. What are you thinking of playing today on the eve of your departure to the UK?
Just always trying to bring you something fresh, Grant.
All right.
Something fresh and
Tasty.
brittle and yeah, green and unpolished and unfinished. So this one's it's a love song, Grant.
Oh, that's
It's unusual for me.
Nice. Well, very unusual. Doesn't end with someone killing themselves or
No,
throwing
it's-
themselves under a train.
It's
or
all,
something like that.
pretty love song, but I
Okay.
guess the element that's more to my wheelhouse is it's kind of like the opposite of love at first sight, maybe.
Ah,
So kind of the
thank God
commentary
there's
on
some
that.
kind of a Duhon twist to it.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I wasn't looking for a goddamn thing. I was driver's seat, pedal down in love with freedom, the way it spun my wheels around. If I was ever gonna fall in love, it would have taken a blaze of glory, a raging fire burning through my town. And all you did was move back down. You always had a spark about you, a slow and steady heart about you. Friends would leave and we'd spend hours hanging around, but there was nothing that it would amount to. You just had a spark about you, just a spark. It's burning me down. burning me down. You're the very first cigarette, the only one I don't regret. And now I'm just another fool who swears that he can quit. On days when I swear I'm not in love, days when I miss freedom's touch, when the thought of forever gets to be too much. You've always got a spark about you, a slow and steady heart about you. I swear the city ain't the same when you leave town. I always got a spark about you, a slow and steady heart about you, just a spark. Oh, and it's burning me down. Oh, it's burning me down.
Lovely.
Nice.
Hey, thanks, y'all.
That is beautiful. I wouldn't say that's a totally positive song about love, given that it's burning you down, which technically
it
tends not to be a positive thing when something gets burned
burning
down.
me down. I think the comment there is that the me is like this embodiment of freedom that I kind of flubbed the first verse, but the first verse should instill the idea that this guy, me, is of the self-identification of someone who's just that free, soaring eagle and doesn't need
Right.
anyone, doesn't want anyone. You know,
I got that. Did you mess that up? I got that idea.
Well,
Did
yeah.
you guys get that?
I totally got that.
That's an original.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
That's
Thanks,
a beautiful
man.
song.
Yeah,
He's the real deal.
So I guess with the burning me down
a
part
great
is
song.
the part of the part that's getting burnt down is the part that
wall.
expects love. Yeah,
He wants to be free,
Ah,
but now
I
he wants
see.
to be free and independent, but now he feels like,
Yeah,
oh man, I'd
Yeah.
rather have you.
yeah,
Although that's what's burning. That's burning away.
Yeah, it's-
is the facade is burning away.
right. Is it a facade or is it just a stage in life? You know, of needing to be independent to find yourself, and that doesn't have to be said. But you know, that's my idea of the thing. I think I'm still kind of in that transition phase of the wanderer who needs to probably settle down eventually. You know,
Well,
Can
you've
I-
been very adamant. Sorry, Ashley, we're going.
Oh, I was going to ask how old. Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 30 as of 2 weeks ago, and
Oh, wow.
it's burning me down.
Burning you down.
It's feeling the itch.
What did you think? 30 is a big deal. Did you think that you would have be different by the time you got to 30? Would have
No, you know, I
been
think,
settled down?
I think the transition's been happening from 25 to 30. All the tiny little surrenders that admit.
That's funny because I actually read an article the other day that said before they would say we're all adults at 18, but you're really not fully developed until 25 is what they're saying now.
Really?
Easily.
Yeah.
I'm 42 and I don't
Think
feel
about
like
think
that.
about how many
Yeah.
people made mistakes at
Only maybe just this
18 to
month.
21.
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
there's
like,
no clue.
Well,
Not
don't
a
you
clue.
think you're making mistakes constantly for your whole life? I mean,
That's true.
think how many times you turn around and go, "Geez, I really
Yeah,
fucked
yeah,
that
of
up."
course. But
Yeah.
I think eventually you kind of realize that you are your own entity, and that the mistakes that you make, you're accountable for, and it's your job to kind of fess up
Right.
or
But
make
also
up.
And you
define
accept-
mistake. I
you
mean, think
accept-
about what. I mean, that's just. Is it really a mistake?
Is
If
it a
it's like
mistake?
moving
Yeah.
you forward
Right.
in your life in just a different direction, is it really? A
And
mistake?
could you have done anything differently, actually?
Yeah. Would you want to if you look back? I mean, I don't know.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
I
sure.
honestly had no idea who I was until I was 25.
What happened at 25? You were in the
Well, I was
military
probably
at that point.
27, but no, I mean, like I said, I went to college. I realized I didn't want to do what I was pursuing, and I didn't want to waste
Right.
my time either. So, joined the military.
What'd you do in the military, by the way?
Engineering.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I did that for
Which
10 years.
Which branch?
Navy.
Okay.
What were you actually doing in the Navy?
I was in the nuclear propulsion field. So, aircraft carriers.
Another good sentence.
Aircraft carriers are operated by nuclear reactors,
Yeah.
and there's about 400 people that operate those 2 reactors.
So you're not really well rounded at all. You've got really just a really straight path from the time
I
you
drink
like
a
were
lot.
born.
I drink a lot.
Like,
That's-
just
that's
never-
pretty straightforward.
Just another. You're more interesting than the people on the other side of the bar. The bartender's got more going on than
exactly.
the.
You should tell your story.
You're a nuclear power engineer on a warship.
Yeah, for 8 years, 2 years of school. And then
Where was the ship?
all over the place. My first deployment was a week after 9/11.
Wow.
So I joined in 99, 2 years of nuclear engineering school, and then reported to my command on August 18th. 9/11 happened, September 11th, and a week later we deployed and did 159 days without seeing land. Just launching airplanes and catching them, launching and catching all day long.
159
Did you ever fail?
days.
To catch them?
I did see one plane crash in the ocean in my 8 years on a ship, but it was a training exercise. Pilots were fine.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it was.
That
just
was our
off the
taxpayer money went off right off.
Just
the
$2 billion real quick in the ocean.
Oh,
big deal.
it's $2 billion
$2
for one of those
billion to build
planes.
an
A little
F-18. Yeah.
PTSD.
Holy shit.
$2 billion each.
God damn.
What costs all
How
that?
about, how about a carrier though? 200 billion.
Yeah.
It's
$200
the most
billion.
complicated- You're in engineering. It's the most complicated thing to design in the world.
Yeah.
A nuclear-powered aircraft
I
carrier.
was going to say,
with, like-
just an aircraft carrier, much less the whole, like, all the rest of the aspect of that, yeah.
Why does it have to be nuclear powered?
Because it doesn't need refueling for 25 years.
For real. So
Wow.
it makes its own power. I
So-
didn't realize that.
All
Yeah.
ships are
Didn't know
driven
that.
by steam for the most part. So the
Are
only
they?
thing that changes is the heat source. It's either oil
Steam.
or
Steam is what's driving those giant ships, like
so
an
a
aircraft.
reactor. Think of it. It's just a hot rock. It boils water. They turn it into pure steam, which turns the turbine, and that creates electricity and turns the ship.
I had no
That's
idea.
the simple way of explaining nuclear power.
Yeah.
Mind blowing.
Wow, that
just a
shouldn't
big
have,
hot
that shouldn't have
rock.
taken 2 years to learn that at school. Really should.
know,
We could-
that's what-
we've done that in a week on
exactly.
YouTube.
Our taxpayers' dollars.
Yeah.
So an aircraft carrier costs $200 billion,
Yeah.
and a plane costs $2 billion, and we're designing and paying all this money just to go and kill people,
For
basically.
the most part, I mean, you would hope that it would be for defense, but these days, we're the
Well,
world police.
nobody's going to attack us by ship
Or period, because
or period. Okay.
Well, hopefully.
because we have what's called a inherent defense in our submarines, which no one knows where they are at any given time.
Somebody hopefully knows.
no
we
one,
know,
No one
thank God.
else.
You know,
knows.
the Navy knows.
Yeah,
How many submarines are there? Are you allowed to say that even?
I don't even know. I was not submarine fleet, but there's a lot.
So there's a bunch of submarines. I was going to say
I
floating,
actually
but
know
they're
where they
not.
are, Grant.
Okay, let's just.
I have an app for that.
I'm going to break it to
Got
you.
an app for that. Hold on.
There's a whole bunch of submarines. There's an app for that. There's a whole bunch of submarines in the ocean right now. Well, what are they doing? What are the guys on there
So
doing?
they're called ballistic missile submarines. These are the ones that go really deep and they're quiet and they're just everywhere. And people will not mess with the U.S. because they're there.
Right.
Okay.
And so they attack us. Their whole country is destroyed.
Or hopefully we've at least convinced them they're there. That would be a good way to save money. Just to make
So-
people think that they're there.
It's a good story. Yeah, China, for instance, was like bucking up on us a few years ago, and we surfaced 3 submarines off their coast in an hour that they had no idea
Wow.
were there, and then we just went away again.
Just to make a point.
And different numbers. They all have
Point
numbers.
made.
painted on it. And
Oh,
we're just
yeah.
like, yeah, keep pushing the button.
Yeah.
Watch what happens.
Keep poking the bear.
Yeah. So that is actually why the U.S. is safe, is because of those subs out there.
There's
And
really
then-
only 5, and they just go away.
Yeah, there's only 5.
Do you know
They
anything?
change the
China's
numbers.
stat.
They change the numbers on them each week.
Do you know anything about ISIS?
No, not so much. I just know they're terrorists, and
But you don't know anything on the inside like you know about the submarines.
I've been out since 2010.
Yeah, I guess they're relatively recent.
Yeah, ISIS. They're,
Well,
they're JV.
Redefined.
kidding.
Redefined. It's not
JV.
recent.
JV.
That was just a quote.
What does it mean?
Obama called them JV
Yeah.
back in the
Nice.
day.
Did he? Really? What does it mean?
It meant that they weren't a serious threat. Which
So there's varsity
now,
and there's junior varsity, and so there's
Oh, I see. It's a
JV.
sports quote.
yeah. It's
The President of the United States says that ISIS is nothing to worry about.
when they first
Back in
appeared.
the
Well,
day.
he did, I
When they
guess.
first appeared.
Oh, that was originally.
Yeah, and now we obviously
Wow.
know that they're a little more
Come on.
substantial.
then JV.
They're really extraordinary what they've done. They've
Yeah,
rolled
unbelievable.
across the amazing the territory they've taken. They're going to take over the whole of Iraq eventually. It won't be that far off now. They're almost at Baghdad, right? Do you know any of this stuff? I just read in the New York Times.
I try to follow it, but
Yeah, it's
I
interesting.
try not to, focus on it too much because I know.
Well, let's focus on this. Ashley's
Oh,
Twitter
Lord.
profile.
All right.
And she thought she got it. Look at the
It's like,
blog.
let's keep talking about ISIS.
Look at the blog that I
that
found
had a
too.
blog. Is it still up?
Yeah, it's called Fertile Myrtle.
Yeah. Oh, well, because I've changed a lot of that stuff. But yeah, it was
But you are Fertile Myrtle.
I was Fertile Myrtle because I lived on Myrtle Avenue in Brooklyn, and
Yeah.
I had this sort of weird story about. Actually, it's come full circle this week, which is sort of strange.
Just this week.
This week, I got engaged to
What?
to my son's father, who we broke up 5 years ago.
All
so.
right.
Yeah, so you're
Wow,
actually
congratulations.
no, but what's funny is your song is really like
Shots.
exactly
Shots.
what all this
I
about.
thought
'cause
you were going to
Alright.
start crying while you was
No,
playing that song.
no,
I did.
I don't cry, which is the whole point of your song. I don't.
You don't
there
cry.
Are no. I don't know that there are tears
I must
in
have
here.
picked up something else.
born
it's
born
just-
without tear ducts.
Mace.
No, but it's
You just got engaged to the father
yeah.
of your...
So we were dating for a couple of years, broke up, found out I was pregnant 2 weeks later, and he was like, "Yeah, let's get back together." Like, yeah, maybe not. Me being pregnant has nothing to do with you. You didn't change,
well,
did
it
you?
had something to do with it.
Well, yeah, but he didn't change him. So it's like,
Gee,
yeah,
that's a very brave decision to make just to stop you there for a second, isn't it?
I don't know. I mean,
No.
What was the brave decision?
I was
To
gonna say,
break up
that's-
with someone, then find out you're pregnant, and then decide not to just stick with the breaking up.
I guess.
Even
I
though
mean,
you're
I don't
gonna
know
have
that
a
it was
baby
brave.
by-
There's so many
I
people that
think
are
it was very
brave.
brave.
But yeah, I don't. It
I
was
would
just.
think that's brave.
It was.
The easiest thing to do would be to say, yes, let's get back together.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can help me take
oh,
care of this
absolutely,
child.
absolutely.
Right,
yeah.
right, right.
But
So
for
that's
me,
tough.
it was. Yeah, it was.
This is in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Okay.
On Myrtle Avenue.
On Myrtle
yeah.
Avenue. So this-
I wrote this
this
whole
go-
blog about being a single parent and and then I ended up and I said some not so nice things about Eli's dad. Or Elias is my son.
Yeah.
About his dad, and I thought, well, I don't want him to ever be able to Google this, and so I took it all off. And so there's remnants.
I just got the...
Yeah.
I don't know, is there more than just this little
there was
paragraph about-
there were months and months because through again this is some more information you need to know, but through my pregnancy, so I had the crazy ex-boyfriend, and then my mother passed away during my pregnancy, and then I moved, so it was that whole sort of documentation of that. And then when I went back and looked at it, I thought, I don't know that I want my son to know these things about his dad, so I'm taking it down. And I thought when I moved to New Orleans, I would start this whole new, like, on my, and then I was just like, I can't do it. I can't. I'm a single parent in New Orleans. I can't. I don't have time to blog. So I just sort of dropped that. So yeah, those are
So
remnants.
Fertile
of-
Myrtle remains up there. Just this
yeah, I
page
guess
or
I've,
something.
yeah.
But are you want to take it all down, or you would disown it?
I
or?
guess I need to, yeah.
Now that
again,
you're
now
getting
that I
married to
realize
this
it's sort
guy.
of still out. Oh, no, I mean,
So what the hell happened there? So
Okay,
you broke
so
up,
we broke up.
and he stayed in Brooklyn.
He stayed in
wherever
Brooklyn.
he
He stayed
was.
in Brooklyn.
In New
and
York,
we both
okay.
lived in Brooklyn, but worked in Manhattan. And I moved down here, and so when Eli turned 2, he moved the week before. It was actually, he would have moved 2 weeks before, but Isaac happened, or whatever that was. I can't remember which one it
One
was.
of those hurricanes.
Yeah, exactly, right around Labor Day. Anyway, he moved just shortly after that.
Moved here.
And moved here
For you, or for him?
for him.
For Eli, so it could be
in
close
theory.
to his son.
So it could be close to his son. And so we sort of started this co-parenting deal, which turned out to be great. He was a great dad. He was very supportive. I started dating someone else, dated him for 2 years. It was awesome, and everything was great. And then my relationship sort of deteriorated, and he just was very needy. And but that's why I break up with all my boyfriends. They're too needy, right?
They're
So
too needy.
They're too needy.
It's a
yeah.
pattern.
I'm telling you,
Sounds
the
like
song was like,
an
did you write that song?
opposite.
Yeah.
What does too needy mean?
Just that whole like, you got to talk to me every single day, and we have
Oh,
this.
man.
It's
So
terrible.
mostly when people start dating, then they go out once a week, and then they go out twice a week,
and then they
they
just like move in,
and you
it's-
don't want that bit. You want
Well,
to
it's
stop
not
it
that-
somewhere.
Well, it's that, especially when you are, work, have a sort of intense job, and then you have a kid who's 2, 3, 4, whatever, and then so where does my time? And then you have a boyfriend who wants like every moment that you don't give to your son. It's like, well, when am
Look at
I
Andrew's
in there?
expression.
What? So
right.
Nope.
So
It's like,
yeah,
I got a song for that.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly.
But
And
so how do
Feel
you
you, sister.
how do you make time without and still have a
so-
relationship for yourself?
Okay, so this is what ended up happening. Is so Eli's dad moves here. I have my days off, and so I would spend some of them with my then boyfriend, and some of them alone, or parts of them, or I would figure out ways that sort of I could carve out a little time in my week for me.
Okay.
And when work gets really hectic, that was harder and harder because I needed those little free times, and free time ended up being for work. Well, the boyfriend didn't sort of frowned upon that. Anyway, it just got really intense, and there was a lot of friction. And so anyway, that deteriorated. Well,
Everyone's pulling at
Pulling,
you. Everybody
exactly,
wants you.
exactly.
Okay.
So then dad is still hanging out, and still I see him 3 times a week, whether I like it or not, because we're exchanging this child. And then we started hanging out a little more as a family, and he had a big trip to go on maybe 3 weeks ago. I mean, we had not been dating at all. He had a big trip to go on 3 weeks ago, and he comes to me before this big trip. He's going to the Middle East. He's Palestinian. and says a bunch of big words, and which sort of startled me. He went away, and then when he came back, I actually went away because I had vacation already scheduled. And then when we both finally got back in the city, we had this conversation. He said he was going to marry me. I said, is that a statement or a question? He said, it's a question. I said, yes, and we got engaged. So here we are. But it's the same thing where, like, I've always been really independent and really not, not been down. I've spent my whole life.
What happened there? There was a moment where you said, I want time to myself, and all these fucking people are pulling at me, and I can't get a moment for myself, and now you're going to marry one of them.
But I think that...
What's the missing paragraph there?
Well,
What happened?
I think the missing paragraph is that person's okay for me to have time for myself. He was the only person in the equation that was okay with me, understood, and like actually took some of the burden away. Everybody else was adding it on. And I adore my son, but I only have so much to say to a 4-year-old. I'm actually very much introverted. I need to regroup.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to move in together and be like a traditional family?
We're looking for a house. We're doing the whole thing, but we're going to... I told him, I was like, the way this is going to work is that, this whole, like, you have Tuesdays and Thursdays and I have... It's like, we're going to sort of need to keep that where you pick him up on those days and you make dinner those days, and maybe one of those days I go out with my friends and we...
But that's a pretty cool marriage, I would think. That's a great idea.
The thing that made me think it was right was that we are really good at working together in that, in that way in time.
And you have history. You have enough time. Like, there's no surprises.
No,
He's not gonna
exactly. He's the only. The thing that made the difference was I've dated a lot of men who said, I could date anyone I want, but I choose you. Like it's like, oh, gee, thanks. Don't be doing any favors. But the difference in him was, if it's not you, it's no one. I was like, oh, well, that's a totally different statement, and. I've gained respect for him over the year. Like there was,
Are you in love with him? Is he in love with you?
Yeah.
So you've been in love with each other this whole time?
I don't know that it's not like birds and swoony prince and whatever. It's like I really respect him and I really love him for what it's hard not to love someone who loves your son that much. But it's also like I really love him for all.
It's his son too.
I know, but I understand, but he doesn't get a cookie for loving it. It's like.
There's a difference between being in love and then loving someone.
Yeah, and like
when you're
choosing,
in love,
and you
that's
choose.
Like that flowery,
fleeting, right?
It's not a high school kind of like twinkle-eyed thing.
It's long term.
Yeah,
there's a big difference.
Yeah.
In love is like that butterflies and everything
else. I
else.
I just really love
that
him,
doesn't last. And if it does, you've got a chemical imbalance. Like, seriously.
Or you can have both. But I think I really respect him, and I appreciate the fact that he went out of his way for both of us, and that he's always been supportive, even though he knew I was dating someone else and whatever. He would take out my trash, and he was always supportive of me and what I needed to do, and whether I was with someone else or not, he was solid.
Teammate.
Wow.
Yeah.
He sounds like a pretty cool guy,
He
this
is,
guy.
but he's grown up a lot. He's younger, significantly younger than me.
Significantly younger?
Well, 8 years. I don't know if that means
that's not that
significant. Got to teach that
significant.
young man a thing or two, I'm sure.
Well, teaching, you bring up the funny, interesting, that's how we met. I was his teacher.
Nice.
Instructor. I'll say instructor. College instructor.
He was your college pupil.
His first class to ever take was the first class I ever taught.
Was he an architect?
Architect, yes.
He's an architect too.
He's an architect too. Yeah.
Okay.
So
now he's building you a home.
Yeah. More ways than one.
Cabin.
No. So I moved to New York, and after he was still in school or whatever, and then he moved to New York several years later. And when you move to New York, you don't know anyone.
Moved to New York from where was it? Where did you meet?
At University of Texas.
Texas. Okay.
Moved to New York. He got in touch because his whole little class got in touch because when you move to New York, you don't know anyone. You're looking for connections. You're looking for, can you help me find a job? We started hanging out with a big group. I would sort of take them out to dinner every month or so because they were broke, and I knew what that felt like. And then all of a sudden, like, one guy goes back to grad school, one guy goes back to home, and eventually it was just me and him.
By attrition.
Yeah.
You ended up with this guy.
We spent more and more time together, and then eventually he was not dating anyone, I was not dating anyone. We had sort of developed this relationship. I've known him since he was 18. I've known him for 15 years, so... Yeah.
This is a pretty romantic little story, actually.
See, that's what it's about. You build it little, brick by brick, the whole,
oh my God, it's been pebble by pebble.
Yeah, I was going to say pebble by pebble.
Yeah,
but,
sand
Were you really?
bead by sand bead. Yeah, so.
Yeah. You've got a song about that. You do have a song about that with stone.
Oh, sure,
Picking
yeah.
up stones.
Well, yeah. But I think, I'm only 30 years old. I don't get it. But I think the more that I'm growing to figure out where I need to be in my own romantic relationships and how to handle that situation, it seems more and more like the whole fireworks thing is a fleeting thing that you should pay no attention to.
Right.
But to meet somebody who you respect mutually and that you believe in mutually and that you make a good team together, that's something to pay some notice to and give some time and some effort to and see what you can build out of that and see if you can't,
And
build.
the fireworks are a bonus.
Yeah,
if they're there.
I will say the interesting thing is that it makes me think about like all the people you date before who you lose respect for in one way or another, or there's some reason why you break up, but then you leave each other, right? You don't. But he and I were sort of forced to stay in touch because we have this kid together, and so I got to watch him grow up. People change, right? He became the man that I wanted him to be back then. He just wasn't. So it's somehow he was always a good person, and I have always thought he was a good person.
Was he under 25?
He was 18.
Well, when I met, we didn't.
See?
No, there was nothing.
There it is.
There was,
There it is
that's
again.
right.
You're
that's
not a
right.
man, so
So
you
you
need
need
time.
So
You need
when-
time.
Okay,
so
you've
wait,
got
let
a
me think.
bizarre tattoo as well, I just noticed.
I was going to ask you about that. I love that. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
yeah.
You've got writing on your arm as
So
well.
okay, so what is? That's beautiful.
It's funny that you said earlier that like you have to hide yours. I actually use this to screen my employers. If this is a problem, I don't want to work for them.
well, we have different lives.
But
But hang on, what does it say?
It says
It's
not
like-
all those who wander are lost. It's a
Yeah.
J.R.R.
This
Tolkien
must have
quote.
really
Okay.
hurt. This
And I
must
got
have-
it.
What's
I got
it?
it on Christmas in Costa Rica. I actually
Just this
I-
past Christmas or a
No,
few
no,
Christmases ago?
2011, I think.
Right, when you first started this job.
Yeah, but I told him to make it look like a blurry pirate tattoo. I didn't want it clean and like.
Oh,
I was
no.
like,
I was
just
like,
make
who's
it.
the best person with line weight? And they gave me this guy.
I was like,
He's
I want
terrible.
blowouts. I want it. I
Were you
want-
drunk as hell when you?
No, I was just.
It was just with
I,
like
I
a
get a
You
butter
stone
tattoo.
cold.
I get
They
a
just-
tattoo everywhere I live.
Do you? Are you like a sailor? You are a sailor.
I am a sailor. Was.
Yeah. So you've got tattoos all over you.
It's
That
killer.
must have hurt like hell. On the elbow.
Oh yeah, that's a
gives me-
tribute to my Navy
Whoa,
days.
man, that's like a cross.
That's
What
my
is that
moral.
called?
That's
Jesus.
a compass rose.
That's a compass.
That looks
And I
terrible.
call it
That
my
looks
I mean,
very
it's
painful.
beautiful, but
because
it looks
it's
painful.
always changing. You never know where north and south is.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, I like.
And
I
what
like
else you got?
tattoos.
What you got on your other arms?
I
what?
got this
Oh.
one in San Francisco.
Oh, that's a.
Wait, let me see. Let me see. What is
Okay,
that?
Allison,
Got the
you have to take a
mustache
photo
finger,
of
yeah.
that.
That's good. Yeah, you have to take.
Hercule
I like
Poirot.
I like the eyebrows that come along with that. That's
Okay.
There's about.
Let's-
I would say there's 13 close friends that have this tattoo
really?
in different forms, like different forms of mustaches. That
Who
is-
dreamt that up? Did you dream that up with someone
I was
you know?
I was the second person to get it. We had a very close group of friends in Virginia Beach back in the day, and one of my friends, Chad, but I think he was the first one to get it. And I was like, we should
That
all
was
get it
great
and just
idea.
freak people out
Okay.
at a bar.
If you
like,
wa-
we're all at a
Like,
bar
1, 2,
together.
3.
So what this is? Let me
we
just
do.
describe this.
Like,
If
you
you,
need to choose a song that when it comes on the on the overhead,
But what
you just
sucks is now I'm by myself here in New Orleans, and not by myself. I've made some great friends here, and I love this city. But
but none of them have your tattoo.
all of those guys are everywhere else. They're all over the world now. Some are in
Right.
Amsterdam, Thailand, California, everywhere. And so now when I flash, I just look like a weirdo with a mustache tattoo on
But
his
isn't
finger.
that a great thing? I mean, isn't like it's the sort of idea of like when like you and your family are all separate, and you're like, oh, when I look up at the moon, we all see the same moon or whatever. But like you all,
The
are-
best part
we
was
all have
You
mustaches
all have
tattooed on our
mustaches.
fingers.
Yes,
Okay, it's
and
a
we
little
were
more
all
rudimentary,
just
but you know
home.
what I mean.
Yeah, we were all just home for a wedding 2 weeks ago, and it's been years, but we were all there, and we're just like mustache picture. Like,
Okay, so can you describe? Let me just describe this to people. If you
Oh,
go
yeah.
to our Facebook page, it's New Orleans, or go to our website, it's neworleans.com, and look for the show. And it's a mustache that's tattooed on your what finger is that called? Index finger.
finger,
First
yeah,
finger.
index, yeah.
The index finger.
inside of your
I
index.
used
On
to
the
joke I
inside
couldn't
of-
grow one, so I just tattooed one instead.
Yeah.
It's quite, and so when you hold it up to your face, it looks like you've got a
It's
mustache.
like a little disguise.
It's the
It is
best.
crazy.
And it's also I like that it's sort of Dali. It's not like
Yeah, I chose
it's not a
this little
porn
French one.
mustache.
Oh, you
or
could
a
get
Hitler
like a
mustache.
Hitler
It's-
mustache. That would be funny. I
One of
suppose.
my friends does. He calls it Russian. but
It's
Okay,
Russian.
that's
Yeah.
very weird.
He's got a weird sense of humor.
I don't think that's Russian.
Did people used to have that mustache when Hitler got it? Was that like fashionable? Or did he
Yes, it
did he
was.
invent
Yeah,
that?
it
That
was,
was a look.
actually.
And then that basically stopped it.
That was the end
and
of
that
that.
also stopped
Yeah.
the name Adolf. People that was a very popular.
Well, what about
name.
Hitler? You don't meet anyone called Hitler anymore.
No, if your last name is Hitler, you're
I guess you're changing it.
You're like hiding in South America.
Histler. My name is Himmler.
Okay, listen, we've got to get out of here. And the sad part about this whole story is today that we never got onto Ashley's Twitter
Oh, that's
profile. It starts off with birth, and it ends up with move.
There you go.
But now it
Wow.
should end up with married.
Yeah, because boyfriend, baby,
Baby,
move,
move.
and then
Marriage. Next
Yeah.
house. You said you're looking.
yeah, I'm looking. It's terrible in New Orleans. It's
I'm going to
terrible
read it. I'm going to
place.
read it anyway because we can't tease
Yeah,
people all this
go
way.
ahead, okay.
Okay, here's Ashley's Twitter profile. It says birth dash. There's a dash between all these words. Birth, school, move, school and golf. We didn't even get onto golf
Yeah,
at
golf,
all.
really.
Move, work like a dog, work less. Friends, martinis, music, yoga, new boyfriend, tennis, jettison boyfriend, baby,
There you go.
move,
And
and
now,
now marriage.
yeah, the jettisoned boyfriend is now
Jettison boyfriend is now the actual husband,
potential future.
future husband.
Not
What
terrible.
happens when you hear that word husband? You seem to have a bit of a reaction to that. A lot
It's,
of,
it gives me a moment.
It's conventional.
Like I said, I've spent a lot of time trying not to be married, and so here you go. This is going to be interesting.
yeah, what do you think of saying this is my husband?
What does Eli think?
Do you say fiance?
Eli, okay, so Eli's response was, "Yeah, we're going to be like the Incredibles." He was psyched. He's very psyched, and he said, "But we're going to need another bedroom. If he moves in with us, we're going to need another bedroom."
That's right.
Oh, that's-
He's
that's-
right.
It's like, actually, you're onto something. That may just make this work.
That's where you need the bigger
I
house.
have some friends who are 40-something and married and have a great son, great kid, and they have an extra bedroom because the guy is actually a musician, so when he gets home late. But it's really because they're both that type, that like their space.
want their
Every
own
now and again,
room.
they want their own room. I like that.
Maybe that makes a lot of sense.
Maybe.
My extra bedroom's
I
the
also
couch.
like to snuggle, but
My extra
I end
bedroom's
up
a
there a
couch.
lot.
You do?
Yeah.
maybe
You
a
get-
Go to your
treehouse.
bedroom, and I'm like,
Ooh, maybe a
ah.
But what time
treehouse.
is
I'm an
you-
architect. I can do that.
Yep.
That's true. You can build a house. What hours does your wife keep if you go to bed at 5 in the morning?
Girlfriend keeps.
I was going to say,
Girlfriend.
what
Sorry,
happened?
Jesus
Whoa,
Christ.
you just
That
got
was a bit of a
elevated.
slip. Sorry.
She's
Girlfriend.
listening too. So.
Okay.
Damn.
What hours does she
She
keep?
is a dental assistant here in Uptown.
Okay.
Actually, and she keeps normal hours, like, semi-normal, 10 to 7 on Mondays and Wednesdays, and 9 to 5 on.
Okay. So what happens? I have to figure this out. You come home at what time?
I normally I'm home 12:30 or so.
Is she still up?
Oh yeah, she actually stays up. She's a trooper.
'Cause she
Okay.
loves you.
Ah. So
Or she's like, where the
And
hell
I'm
you
always
been?
yelling at her like, "You're gonna screw someone's teeth up tomorrow. Go to sleep. Go upstairs." And she's like,
Yeah, what's her name? I have a dentist appointment in 2 weeks. I just want to make sure.
Actually, her boss just got named best dentist in New Orleans
Oh,
this
nice,
month.
nice.
Yeah, Kamanzuli Dental.
There you go.
Kamanzuli,
Yeah.
dentist of the month.
All right.
Yeah, he got,
Kamanzuli, that's got a nice ring to it.
number one dentist for June 2015. It's pretty wild.
Where is that, Kamanzuli?
It's actually Uptown. It's on Amelia, right behind Toro. He's got
Oh,
a nice
okay.
little practice. He bought it from a guy who was retiring, and
Sweet.
he's smart because he
Oh,
hires
it's right
a bunch.
there. It's right on that one-way street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right there.
Right there. Dr.
do the-
Cambrone or something is
The
there.
fast
why-
braces, I think they call it.
Fast braces.
Oh, I need some of those.
You get
Do you?
braces in 6 months instead of 3 years.
Is that
Sweet.
right? Are they
I
cheaper?
really need
And they're
those.
cheaper. How is that
I'm
possible?
going to write that down because
Yeah, I want
that's good to know.
those.
Kamanzuli, how do you spell that?
I'm going to charge him for this. But C-A...
We should charge.
I need those.
C-A.
C-A-M-E-N-Z-U-L-I.
Okay.
And
Fast
she's-
braces.
She's
It's a woman?
basically his
Or-
number one assistant. She also runs his office and does the ordering and stuff like that. So
She's in the operations end of it as well,
yeah,
like
she
you.
loves it. Yeah.
You guys are an interesting couple. And you
Yeah.
guys are an interesting couple as well.
Mm-hmm.
Couples are
We should,
interesting.
we
It's
should do
kinda
a
nice, Grant.
foursome.
I like
What?
the element of just having two guests because then you kind of get a little bit more in depth
Yeah.
where the good stuff is.
Yeah.
So you used to have more?
It's like
we usually have a music guest as well, which is our third, but we made
Yeah.
Andrew be the music guest, and he's going to be
Right,
gone
you
for
do.
the next.
yeah.
Be the music
but
guest.
but you know
We should
Good
stick
thing
with this
it's a good thing
plan.
you play guitar and sing.
right.
It worked out really
What
well.
a
for you.
fluke.
Do you play? Do you play around town?
I do. Yeah.
Where do you play?
My favorite spots are. I like DBA on Frenchman Street, and I like
Yeah.
Carrollton Station.
You know
when they're not
Julie?
doing-
Julia DBA?
Who is it?
Julia, Filipino bartender?
Yeah, I do.
I used to work with
So,
her.
Nice.
Is
yeah.
it a band or you?
I have a band, just call it the Andrew Duhon Trio.
Okay.
But
Do you guys have Spotify or any other way of stealing music?
I was going to say, I will definitely figure this out.
Yeah,
'cause
you
I love
steal
that song.
everything.
Yeah.
Andrew
That-
has a
that can be lazy.
Grammy-nominated album.
You can pilfer the
What's it called?
Grammy-nominated
The
album
Moorings.
on Spotify.
Get that
yeah.
for nothing on
Awesome.
Spotify.
Check
yeah.
that out.
He's a fucking genius.
You'll have
It's-
to.
I
You're
am
you'll-
as
awesome
well,
I'll
but-
have
songwriter.
to, I'll
Well,
have
it's
to get
poetry,
you to
the
play
the
my,
lyrics.
my bar sometime.
Yeah, man, come on.
We do live acts on Saturday,
Is that
and,
right?
and I'm looking for someone on Friday. So
I know a guy.
Well, right here.
yeah, I know.
Unfortunately,
I know a guy now
this
too.
guy I know is going to the UK tomorrow, but other than that, he's coming back. When are you coming
jeez.
back, by the way?
July 28th.
Oh, man, it's a long
For
way
Friday, did
away.
you go see my ancestors in Wilshire? We'll talk when you get back.
Yeah, deal.
Are we doing Stonehenge? That's my only
I think so.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Ashley
you.
McLaren and Alan Wilshire.
A.
And Andrew Duhon, of course. Bon voyage, Andrew. Come back soon.
Can't wait. Yeah.
That's
Can't
Happy
wait.
Hour for today. Thank you so much for joining us. The producer of our show is Graham DePonte. Our associate producer and technical director is Chris Kehoe. Christian Unruh is our music director, and our theme music was written by and is currently being played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on our show, you can sit around a table for about an hour and have a couple of free drinks. Drop us a line. Our address is on our website. It's itsneworleans.com, where you can check out many other happy hours and some other shows we make here as well at INO Broadcasting. Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti, live from Commander's Palace. Mindset with psychiatrist Dr. Nick Pajek. True to the Game with Chris True. Midnight Menu +1 with Margot Moss and the Man Who Ate New Orleans, Ray Canada. Louisiana Eats with Poppy Tooker. Milo's Music Power with Kim Vu. And The Revolutionary New Way to Buy a House in New Orleans, Unlisted Nola. You can keep up with us on Facebook and on Twitter and a bunch of other time-sucking social media as well. And all of it, we're called It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show. You see a photo of Alan's moustache on his finger and see what we all look like. You can find those photos on itsneworleans.com and on our Facebook and Google Plus pages. And thank you to Alison Moon, who took those photos. If you're listening to this show on iTunes or on Stitcher or some other podcast app that you prefer better, and I don't blame you, thanks for subscribing. Take a moment to rate and review us. That really does help other people find us. Our show is recorded live today at Wayfair on Ferret Street, where they put fine dining into a sandwich and fine booze into a glass and have a happy hour every day for 3 hours between 4 and 7. Happy Hour, this one is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For Andrew Duhon, thank you so much for joining us. And on behalf of everyone around the table here at Wayfair and back at our office at INO Broadcasting, I'll see you back here next week. I'm Grant Morris. We'll be back at Wayfair for Happy Hour next time. Bye.